How far have you gone to accommodate a partner's fetish or kink request? Always showing up in my military uniforms. She had a thing for it, so I would stay mostly dressed. Ed inside her vagina at the same time she ed. I'm picturing Harry Potter's and Voldemort's spells colliding in midair. She wanted to blow me in public. Several times. I had to make awkward eye contact with random strangers and noticed. While all she had to do was close her eyes and blow me. You toughed it out like a champ. She thought Rocky Horror's Tim Curry in drag was hot. So I started wearing her panties to turn her on. I miss that. When I lost my virginity, she said she fantasized about mild bondage. I bought a belt nylon rope which I cut in half and burned at the ends to prevent fraying. Brought with me 2 more belts as well. She also asked me to slap her face. This made me uncomfortable, but I did it because she asked me. You could say my first time was sad and kinky. I was eating a girl's ass out once and she told me to stick my nose in her asshole and inhale. Username. Relevant? Just past the wrist. She told me she never wanted to see or hear from me again. Been doing this for 7 years now. Put an oddish costume on. Well, this isn't that bad. But a girl I was with said she liked being ed senseless and she meant it. If it wasn't hard enough to bruise her vagina, give her a sore back, and give her a rug burn on her knees, she wasn't having it. I'm like really good at fingering now. Like real good. So I guess that is a bonus if you want your vagina bruised every night from some Sabaton fueled metal-eyeing. My husband isn't entirely sure if he likes water sports or not. His last birthday also happened to be his golden birthday, so I decided to indulge him in the shower, but I ended up being so nervous nothing would come out and almost had a panic attack. Tried out swinging once and hated it because my, now, ex-wife desperately wanted to try it. Duluth, Minnesota. I found out this weekend my sir has a foot fetish he's been hiding from me. So I've been rubbing my feet on him to test the waters. Instant boner. Kinda great. I guess I'll see how far we go from here, haha. Girl, cultivate that life. I dated a guy for a while with a foot fetish and it was glorious. It was so easy to turn him on. I had a great excuse to get pedicures on the regular. He got super turned on by giving me foot massages. He just wanted to worship and rub my feet and put them all over his dick. Best fetish ever to be on other side of. Hands down. Or toes down. IDK. Not sure if this counts because it wasn't my partner but a friend's wife. They are into bondage and they each have one bucket list fantasy item they are allowed at some point. Her fetish was to be blindfolded and tied up and be with someone she would never know who it was. I was the lucky bastard. She liked to put several cinnamon Tic Tacs into her vagina then have me her. That is how you get an yeast infection. I don't get people sometimes. I dressed up like powdered toast man and told her to grip tenaciously to my buttocks. Well, I spent $25 on a book teaching Japanese rope tying. $100 on high quality silk rope. $15 on good personal lubricants. Already had the blindfold and bull gag. 20 hours of my time learning the proper knots. And then 12 hours doing whatever I wanted to her while she was hog-tied. Breaks every 2 hours for bathroom, water and food. Let him organize a threesome. He asked if he could invite another, so I agreed. Then he started inviting more guys without asking me. By the time it came around it was 8 men and me. And they weren't even attractive or in shape. I think he wanted me to not enjoy it. But too bad. I loved it and he got jealous and broke up with me. Biting her nipple really hard. Yay. 6. 200 miles for an ex. From Asia to Europe. We both wanted rough sex. We didn't leave his house for about 3 days. It was worth it back then. I had an ex with a pay fetish. I wasn't exactly down for it. Because I don't know about you. But to me consent is extremely SI. After half a year or so of constant pestering, I finally gave in and tried it. Apparently I did a good job because she told me she finished multiple times during. However, she was a shaking, sobbing mess afterwards for about 2 hours, and I tried really hard to calm her down. She spent the rest of the day trying to get me to do it again, but also flinching if I made any sudden moves. It was a weird day, and we didn't do it again. I didn't like seeing her like that. Squeezing his balls really hard. He wanted to be punished and wanted me to pop his balls. Weirded me TF out. It's okay. I think mine just appeared up in my throat for safety. I had a girl who was really into choking. So much so I almost passed out once and came harder than I've ever come before in my life. I had another guy. She wanted to watch me a guy in the ass. So I did. Then she wanted to watch him me and I didn't go for it. PFFT. Selfish. It's not gay if your girlfriend is consenting and or watching. I bought a horse. Been a while, but she had a weird fetish with Victorian era speech. Like Poe and Shakespeare. So guess who got to whisper 18th century jargon into a woman's ear? Well, for starters, you're mixing your eras very badly. Victorian is 1837 until early 1900s. So Poe more or less fits. Though he is much more properly romantic era. Shakespeare was 1564 to 1616, which is the Elizabethan era, and used a mix of older, more traditional styles. Met a girl early on in college that was super into fingering dudes' butts. She pretty much told me this outright over drinks with the tone of, if you aren't down for this then we aren't going to be having SI times. She was pretty hot and I was in a dry spell at the time. So I strapped myself in and prepared for something new. Honestly, wasn't all that bad. She used plenty of lube and was gentle. It got her all kinds of hot. On the plus side, she let me have crazy anal with her. Never did that before or since. So all in all, having a hot girl's finger stuck up your bum for a few minutes while you are eyeing her. Not so bad. My ex was into heavyish men and I was normal weight. Seeing this as an opportunity to get fat, I took it and gained 45 pounds. It was glorious. I got a lot of stretch marks though. I'm cultivating mass. My ex had a pretty intense vampirism fetish. I frequently cut my shoulder and chest so he could drink my blood. Didn't do it for me. What did, however, was him getting turned on to all-lying heel because of it. I'm not into that or pain. But you seem like a pretty awesome, so to indulge in that and get a kick out of him getting a kick. My boyfriend is into men fantasy but has never been with a man. He likes when I talk dirty about men doing things to him. I've never had a partner into that, so it was hard for me at first. He also doesn't have a type. Thin, fat, young or old, men or women. Crossdress with full makeup and wig. My name is Mrs. Nesbitt. Ex gave me a BJ while I was bench pressing and again later that day while I was taking her. The whole one was odd at first. She walked in on accident and I had a random poo boner. She laughed and said something like, "Were you masturbating? Do you want help?" Looking back, my ex was an adult baby diaper fetishist. Not ever going back there. I let him be in a Lucario costume. I wasn't super hyped to start with. But once we got into it I really started to like it. To clarify, he was dressed as Lucario. Not me. Why is it always I'm Lucario? My ex got super into. For some reason. Started innocently with him wanting me to squirt because I had accidentally peed on him during rough sex. Then he wanted me to pee on his face. And in his mouth. I did it. It's gross. I don't care. We also played out our pay fantasies where he would pick me up off the street and we would stay in character all the way through. Tied wrists and ankles. Duct tape on my mouth. The whole thing. Got very real. And bruisey. When he eventually became a gun owner he would hold them to my head. We also once broke into a house to in it. He really wanted to. And I would oblige the most head up of fantasies. The thing that took it too far was when he wanted me to pretend to be my mom. I mean, I did it. Very briefly. Got weirded out. Got up and left. We didn't talk for a couple days. TLDR, I'm a mind degenerate. The part with the gun was the first thing in this thread to make me uncomfortable. Dude should not be a gun owner. I knew a girl that liked pretending to be a dog that was scared of an imaginary vacuum. Sucked. I've commented about this before, but one of my exes asked me while we were getting necky to pee on him. So I started to pee on him and he started yelling, no. No, not here. What the F? Yeah. I'm the weird one for not knowing where play begins. I was so taken aback and open to it I just started dying. I'm a guy. I peed in a girl's butt one time because she asked me to. Not a fetish per se, but she's a vegan, so there's that. Wore a Donald Trump cosplay while doing the deed. She wanted me to make America great again while wearing the cosplay. Felt like a boss, but damn was it hot inside the tux. A 9/11 would do again if I had higher stamina. She originally said you're not my president, but little did she know that I solely identify as her president. My ex had this fetish where she wanted me to stay 50 yards away from her. So I guess my answer is 50 yards. I had to learn how to make some semen dish. Tastes pretty good, emo. You a cook in the Navy? For some reason he really wanted me to pour things into my panties. Like while I'm fully clothed, to just pull out my pants and dump things in there. It started with like water. And ice cubes. And then all sorts of weird stuff. Like different kinds of food. Shaving cream. Shampoo. Always inside my panties. I don't know why he liked it. Something about my embarrassment over the whole thing. I tried to do it for him whenever he wanted, but it was such a pain to clean up and it was hard to have sex afterwards. I know I got at least one yeast infection from it. So yeah. He had this weird fetish where he would pretend he loved me then ignore me for days. I've drawn the line at using racial slurs. I choked her nearly to unconsciousness. I do not enjoy committing violence on other people. It didn't last. This one girl wanted a pay fantasy. I tried. It really wasn't for me. Spread lemon juice on her back to reveal a hidden message. I was Nick Cage and she was the Declaration of Independence. Edit. The national treasure was in her vagina. The Powerpuff Girls. And I'm a man. Go figure. Bought a strap-on. It's super SY. But I've never actually used it. I was guilted into buying it and I dropped him soon after receiving it because I was done with his treatment of me. The hospital. I coqueened my girlfriend because she felt inferior with her short stature. Narrow hips and flat chests and no high cheekbones face. But she likes to be subbed to other girls, so that was a big turn on. She was tied and begged for a release. After we finished, we both ate her ass and didn't touch her PSSY as a form of punishment. She came hard in the very end in a car but was weirded out and shaken by that experience. Ironically, I didn't like superior girl's body, but that ironically made me last longer. Ironically, my GF is a dominant to me. But was it ironic? Two-way tie. Sakura Haruno cosplay. Urza Scarlet cosplay. Why does it look like you tried writing a haiku? Disappointed. Man. My ex had this fetish where she got off on treating me like absolute and I went as far as to put up with it for 3 years. Used to draw anthropomorphic MLPPRN for my ex-husband. He also wanted me to get dressed up in a SI pony outfit, not a fursuit. Mind you, I didn't oblige. Fortunately he grew out of it when he started attending public school, but it was a very weird thing to try to get into and I haven't told anyone else to preserve his dignity a little. For understanding, he was homeschooled in a household that was very dysfunctional, Baptist, and used media as coping mechanisms. This timeline has me all kinds of confused. This one girl I met wanted to do it missionary position with the lights off. It was a bit out of my comfort zone, but I soldiered through for her. The kinky little mix. Australia. I live in the US. I'm flying there this weekend. Farther than will ever appear in print. Literally let him on me in a bathtub. My wife wanted me to tell her I loved her. Pretended I was a British male, I'm an American female, because she thought me imitating her favorite anime character was hot. Actually, both of us pretended we were boys at one point. My ex used to like to dress up as herself and act like a young bitch all the time.